Hi everyone, ya sabes que Carlos to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to be sharing with you another quick and delicious recipe to make on any busy weeknight. We're making salmon patties, salmon cakes, call them whatever you want. They're delicious. Now you can make these using fresh salmon like I'm doing today. I'm just going to roast a whole salmon and make these patties so that way we have plenty for dinner. Or you can use canned salmon, so either or. I'm going to leave it up to you, but I do have salmon on hand, so I'll just make it fresh. You could even use leftover salmon, like if you have some in the fridge from last night's dinner, you could just make a smaller batch of these and they'll be so delicious. They're crispy on the outside, so flavorful and tender on the inside. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin with 2 pounds of salmon fillet. I have 2 smaller fillets here. You can use 1 big one. If you prefer to use canned salmon, just go ahead and drain the salmon straight out of the can and put it in a bowl and skip this step. But we're going to roast it very simply by drizzling some olive oil and seasoning with salt and pepper over the salmon. Pop it in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. Let it cool completely so that way it's easy to flake, and while it's cooling you can go ahead and prepare the rest of the ingredients. So we're just going to thinly slice 6 to 8 scallions. I'm going to go with 8 all the way down to the white parts. There's a lot of flavor in them. Make sure that they're washed really well before you begin. And then I have 2 bell peppers. You can use any color bell pepper. Seed them and then chop them up really finely. And all together, this is going to go in a cast iron skillet. You can use any skillet you like, but I'm going to fry these later on in the skillet, so it's just one less thing to clean. I'm just going to wipe it up later on when I'm done and use it. So these are all going to go in the skillet over medium heat with a little bit of olive oil and a pinch of salt until they're nice and soft and tender. It's going to take about 7 to 8 minutes. Once that happens, take it off of the heat and let it sit aside. And let's just combine all of the ingredients together to make the patties. So in a big bowl, we're going to add the salmon, leaving out the skin, and flake it up with your fingers. If you find any bones, make sure to get them out, just discard them. Add that cooled scallion and bell pepper mixture, and then lots of fresh parsley. I just finely chopped about 1/4 cup of fresh parsley. 2 cups of Panko breadcrumbs. These are unseasoned breadcrumbs. I like to add the seasoning myself. 3 eggs, and I'm just going to whisk them up right here in the corner of the bowl. And the recipe calls for 1 to 2 teaspoons of mustard or lemon juice, and I accidentally went heavy-handed with the mustard and did 2 tablespoons, so that's too much. Just go with the teaspoons. You're also going to need 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. You can use yogurt instead if you like. It's up to you, but I like the mayonnaise in here. It kind of holds everything all together. Now for the seasonings, we're going to add a teaspoon of dried dill, a teaspoon of salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, crushed red pepper flakes for heat if you like them, otherwise just leave them out, and 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Mix this all up until the mixture holds together. If it's still falling apart, you can add a few more breadcrumbs, like 1/4 cup, about 1 tablespoon or 2 more of mayonnaise to bring it all together. And then I'm just going to roll these out into patties. So I'm using a 1/3 cup measuring cup. I feel like that's the perfect size for these. You can make them bigger, smaller. You could even do little salmon meatballs if you want. But for the patties, I think this size is perfect. Roll them in your hand into a ball and then just flatten them out a little bit, and you can put them all in a plate while the skillet preheats. So heat the cast iron skillet over medium heat and add a little bit of olive oil to it, and in the patties go. So my skillet holds 7. I'll cook these about 3 minutes on each side until they're nice and deep golden. And then I'll transfer them onto a plate that's lined with paper towels to absorb any excess oil, and that's it. While they're cooling, I'll make the coleslaw. So today I'm using broccoli slaw, which is a combination of broccoli and cabbage. And the dressing for this is so simple. I'm just going to combine equal amounts of yogurt and mayo, a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I'm using a white balsamic. If you don't have white balsamic, you could use a red wine vinegar or even some fresh lemon juice for this. A little pinch of salt, like 1 teaspoon max. That's all you need. A little bit of olive oil and some freshly cracked black pepper. Whisk that all up all together and then add your coleslaw to this. Toss it all together so that way it's coated, and give it a taste. Mine feels like it needs a little bit more salt, so I'll season it with a little pinch of salt, and that's it. It's ready. You can serve this coleslaw up in a plate and then top it with the patties, or you can make a sandwich out of this or wraps. The options are so many, but they are ready to serve. Okay, so my salmon patties are ready. Before you fry them, if you're not going to be eating all of these today or tomorrow, they do taste great as leftovers too. You can freeze them, so that's an option. Just put them on a baking pan, Pop them in the freezer. Once they're frozen solid, you can transfer them into freezer-safe bags, and they will stay fresh in the freezer for 2 to 3 months, and you can pop them out and either air fry them, pan fry them, or even bake them whenever you need them. So I did pan fry them today in some oil. I love them best that way. I feel like they have maximum flavor. You can skip the stovetop and make these in the air fryer. Just be sure to brush them with some olive oil on both sides, and then set the air fryer to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and just air fry them for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, just the same way as if you were frying them on the stovetop. They're delicious either with a coleslaw or a nice fresh green salad. You can serve these over cauliflower rice, Mediterranean rice pilaf, or even put these in a sandwich or a wrap. I mean, the options are endless. Time for the taste test. So good. I love to load them up with scallions and bell peppers and all those herbs. Really adds so much flavor. One thing I will say though, that mustard, if you're not a fan of mustard, first of all, I accidentally put 2 tablespoons instead of 2 teaspoons. So I added way more than my own recipe called for accidentally, and you can really taste it. So if you're not a fan of mustard, either use the 1 to 2 teaspoons, leave it out completely, and substitute fresh lemon juice for this. That will definitely work too. And it'll also brighten it up a little bit. Other than that, they are so good if you follow the recipe and make them right. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Let me know how you're serving them in the comment section down below. As always, you can print the recipe out on my website, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.